Yo, what's up everyone? So I thought it would be a good idea to make a video where I talk somewhat in depth about my one session level 100 run to win the SSFHC League Race this league. It's like I won a few events in the past, recently, but I never really actually won the SSFHC League start. Like I was always very far ahead of everyone in the last few league starts, but then I would just die to freak accidents like, you know, the Uber Molten Minotaur from Hell, or the Invisible DD in Toxic Series, etc, etc. But now I'll start with how is it that I was so consistently faster than most people in all these events or league starts, and part of it has to do with how Boneshatter is, like the strength fitting perfectly with my playstyle and like the build in general. There's like one thing that people overlook very often is stuns. There's something that I've realized since they added slams to the game. The slams would always stun monsters. You had like gigantic hits, stun threshold, reduction from war cries, etc. So it was extremely noticeable whenever you would do maps that were stun immune, for example. And GG acknowledged this too this league when it changed the stun threshold on the monsters against non-melee attacks. Like now it's supposedly a lot more difficult to stun monsters if you're not, if you're not a melee, if it's projectiles or spells. And I don't know how it actually plays out in practice, because but at least they're aware of it and they're actually trying to make it so that not everybody can do that. And the thing is, Boneshatter being a skill that hits really hard and revolves around stun gives it a pretty nice advantage when it comes to pushing progression early, which is one of the reasons it's so good at doing that, right? Like you also scale attack speed, which means like when you're mapping, you're gonna be attacking faster than monsters, and you'll hit them first and you'll stun them, and the monsters that get stunned is not very dangerous. And on top of that, the gem is like scales really well with levels. You have a lot of flat fizz on the gem, you have trauma, the bonus per stack that just goes up at level 20, etc, etc. So like you get like extremely good gem scaling, which means even if your weapon does not get upgraded, your damage still keeps up as you progress. And that is also a big thing about it. The other thing about it was Fortify. You get Fortify obviously because, melee ability, so you get that defense boost going for you. And you're at the bottom side of the tree, which is pretty big because you get one of the most important stats when it comes to building character defenses, which is armor. It allows you to use Molten Shell, although pretty nerfed this league. And armor in general is just extremely good at one of the two big defensive stats like armor and suppression, right? And being the bottom side of the tree, you get a lot of it. Especially on Boneshatter in particular, which take nodes like Inexorable. They give you a ton of armor, something that you want anyway to be able to sustain your trauma, which also gives you more damage. On top of that, get what is called cast damage taken, because you have self-hit ability that allows you to cast skills on hit. Like for example, you can curse on hit basically because you have cast damage taken. You get endurance charges from Inexorable, so like being a self-hitting ability has like a lot of advantages that smooth a lot of things. Like curse on hit rings, for example, is something that normally would be endgame, but you don't need that on this build because you just put in your cast damage taken, and that's your free mark on hit or curse on hit. Now it comes with a problem though, since cast damage taken will proc as when you attack, which means your Molten Shell procs when you attack, and you don't. It devalues a lot your guard skill, especially in this patch where Molten Shell is a max of 5k, and a lot of it will get chunked just by your self damage. But that is one of the downsides for it. But the upsides are probably bigger than that, by decent amount. On top of that, Boneshatter has an insane synergy with my ascendancy of choice, which is Slayer. As you know, Slayer has I value recovery a lot, which I know most people don't, but I do. I think it just alleviates a lot of pressure when mapping, especially with all the new Archnemesis mod. There's degens everywhere, poison, ignite, all that stuff that doesn't exist when you're Slayer. And the Slayer ascendancy itself, like look at this node for example. Absolutely insane for Boneshatter. You get strike range, you get accuracy for precise technique, you get damage, you get AoE, you get everything you want. And then obviously Brutal Fervor, which gives you a lot of recovery, gives you damage reduction and a ton of damage and speed. Like everything about Slayer just screams Boneshatter basically, which is my favorite ascendancy, the ascendancy I'm most comfortable playing with. Like I'm very comfortable playing around the ascendancies that have like a lot of recovery, which again I think are undervalued stat. Now, one thing though is like this time I did not push like I usually do in league starts. I took it a lot slower. I took a different approach because of the new patch changes and taking into account what I learned from previous events. Which again, once I got kicked at league start, I actually got kicked out of the servers when I was on a good pace, on a pace to stay rank 1 the entire time in Acts. And then I got DC'd, kicked out of servers, and was out for like, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes, and basically was like almost 2 acts behind. And from that point, I was like, okay, I was still not sure what I was gonna do, if I was gonna play it safe or just push very aggressively, and that just prompted me to just, okay, I'm just gonna take it safe then, and take it a bit slower than I normally do. And one of the reasons I want to do that was the molten shell changes, which I think were pretty big in how fast you can push your Atlas this patch, because molten shell was like a big reason on armor-based character like this. You could push it on this build in particular. You could push it really fast, really deep, and actually be relatively safe, because you had 10k, you had like, I don't know, let's say 8k molten shell doing your progression, and that was hard carrying you in dangerous situations on top of VMS also, which was like capped to like, I don't know, 30k was it? So you would get like easily 15k VMS pretty early, and that was extremely huge to be able to allow you to fight, say, essences in tier 16s on a 4 lane. You're kind of weak, but at least you have molten shell VMS, and that helped a lot. And this patch has been kind of gutted, like in two huge ways. So I was like, I'm just gonna take it a bit safer. I'll take it a bit slower. I'll start pushing 16s a lot later than I usually do. But once I do, I will be fully set up, and I'll be able to just beeline straight to level 100, and people just adopted my strats in previous events will not be able to keep up, basically, or like they will die, basically. My thought is like they will either die or not be able to keep the pace up later when I'm fully set up and ready to blast. So like what I ended up doing was I went straight into Betrayal, got Expedition, got Essences to make sure I had the highest chances of getting my gear ready when I was in tier 16 or close to it. And like at first it looked like it was not gonna work, but it ended up working. So the benchmarks I had were very simple. I wanted around 680 to 700 DPS axe, something like this. Around 60 to 70 spells suppression, accuracy for precise technique, and a reasonable amount of chaos res, like 40-50 chaos res to be safe against, you know, all the new crystal skin and all, you know, chaos weavers, etc. Once I had those, I could go away from essences, ditch expedition, and pretty spec my Atlas on for XP. The other things I wanted though were 5 link and glove, body, and helmet implicits, which were the most important. Boots I didn't care that much, like they're nice, but like it's not that important. But glove, body, and helmets are very important for, you know, trauma, to get a lot more armor and physical damage reduction and extra strike and all that suppression, all that stuff. So once I have all these things, I was pretty much ready to send it, run it down to level 100, and run like very repeat maps if I had to. Which was one of the things I wanted to be able to put in like any maps and be fine. Like in the previous, what I learned from the previous runs, like I would be very far ahead of everybody. Like I would be level, I don't know, like 97. The next one is level 94. Nobody's like even close to me, but I would really be this team. And my gear would not be good enough, my Atlas would not be good enough, and I would feel like, yeah, I'm not able to go at like 200%. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna flip it around and see how it goes. I think in this patch in particular, it was the smartest play with the molten shell changes, and it turns out I think I was right. Okay, when it comes to Crucible doing progression, I just didn't do it at all. I did it a couple times, it bricked my weapons, and then I realized this would only be me gambling to maybe get a good tree, and then it's like it won't even do it. Like it would be a waste of time basically. I would do so much time, I would never make the time back. So I just did not do Crucible at all in progression because the push, because yeah, complete waste of time. So I didn't do it. In the actual round, I ended up being pretty lucky. I got a natural 6 link in a tier 12 map on a good base, so it allowed me to settle on a like what 600 DPS axe. Like it wasn't not great, but I mean that was enough because I had a 6 link very early. I didn't bother getting better. One thing I didn't go as planned though was my map situation was pretty bad. I was stuck in low reds / yellow maps for way longer than I wanted to, even though, you know, it was not ideal. But like even despite that, I was still not that far behind in XP considering my gear. Like my gear was extremely good day one, like very very good. Like it was like capped chaos, overcapped on everything, precise technique, 6 link, decent weapon. All my implicits, all my betrayal crafts, everything ready basically, and I was just only one thing to do, just run forward. Now it brings me to the running forward part, which is the part that did not go as planned, which was the 1 session run. I was not planning on doing this in 1 session, obviously not. Like, why would I do that? But then people, as I was predicting, and like, as I was expecting, people started dying. Like everybody died. Like people pushed it like somewhat similar to the way I used to in the previous league. All died. most of them at least. And then I pulled ahead, I was first, and I was not really threatened by anybody anymore until I realized who rerolled and was pushing pretty fucking hard. And it's pretty much what prompted the whole thing, right? So I had to basically, like, who was like going really fast, right? Because he was probably running like pretty reapy stuff, is my guess. Like, you know, alking maps, maybe even corrupting them and just sending it like balls to the wall. But I was very far ahead, and in my mind, all I had to do was just to hold. I didn't to be faster. I just needed to hold. As long as I was alive, pressure was on me, on him to catch him, and not the other way around. Which is something I think a lot of people forget when they're ahead. They just, you know, they crumble the pressure, like, oh, he's catching up to me. He's catching up to me. I gotta be careful. I gotta send it, and then they start taking risks, and then they die even though they're ahead. But the way it works, like in any competition, to be honest, like it was the same like in Dota and like StarCraft, whatever. If you're ahead, you don't have to take risks. You're ahead, you're the one who's winning. It's to your opponent to actually take the risks and try to like make up for the being behind, and like make up for your lead. So all I had to do was to play. I ended up playing very safe. I was putting blue maps, almost no damage mods. I just focused on putting maps in fast. They were not very good for XP. They were blue maps, and you know, that was it. That's all. Like I was like pretty much like a situation where I could not die even if I say I randomly like micro sleep. I just don't pay attention to something. That's not gonna kill me. And on the other hand, like if you want to catch up, you had to like send it, like put in rare maps for sure, and like, you know, do everything you could to like, get the maximum XP power, which I did not have to do. I just had to hold. So that's what the end. The rest looked a lot closer than it could have been, because I just basically took it safe. I did not need to make it look like I was level 100, the next one's level 98. I don't need to do this. I just need to cross the finish line first, and that's all that matters. I will just do what allows me to get there safely, most consistently possible, and I was just playing it safe. Blue maps, no problems, taking it slow, use my advantage, use my lead to my advantage, which I think is a mistake people make when they're ahead. They don't use that lead. They just crumble under pressure, which, you know, I didn't this time. Now I ended up deciding to not sleep, I think around level 97 and 98. Around levels 97, I think. I thought to myself, you know, I've done something similar before, like in Endless Delirium. I ended up staying for like 50 hours too. And that was the same scenario. It's like someone, I am ahead, there's someone pushing me hard, and I did the same thing, right? And the thing is, I was not planning on doing this, but I was like, you know what? I don't think anybody has ever done this. I don't think anybody has ever done one sitting level 100 like this, like on League Start, fresh. I think the closest thing I can remember to this happening was MPM, who did level 1 to 99, I think in one session, but that was on a reroll. It was on a fresh start. And I remember back then, like everyone was like, "Oh my god, that's actually kind of insane. That's actually kind of impressive." So I had a chance to like not only beat that, but like I had a chance to beat 1 to 100 in one session on a league start, or a fresh start. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. Like, why not? I'm pretty much there. I'm this close. Might as well just do it. And I'm probably not gonna get another chance, given the situation. Like I had Huwu pushing me, which, by the way, like I have to say it again. Like Huwu pushing me this hard was one of the big reasons I was able to do it in the first place. Because if he was not pushing me, I would probably, you know, not been able to stay up. But like just because he pushed me this hard and like he put a lot of pressure on me, it helped me, helped me keep it up and stuff. So the big props to Huwu for an insane push also in this race. Because I definitely felt the pressure, and again, that's why I managed to do it. Like, it was especially noticeable, I think, when I was about to hit level 99, he was like 99, middle of his level 98, I think. So he was like half a level behind or something, maybe a bit more or less, I'm not sure exactly. And he went to sleep, and like, during that whole time, during level 98 to 99, I was playing ahead. I was like, you know, I was a good bit faster than him at some point before he eventually went to sleep. And then once he went to sleep, my speed then FHC dropped like dramatically. It got a lot worse. I was like, yeah, basically the pressure dropped, but the problem is like he's going to sleep, then he's gonna come back. So I can't either be like not doing it, not playing efficiently. So I actually considered going to sleep when he went to sleep, but then I thought, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to, you know, accomplish what I wanted to accomplish and do the one sitting thing. So I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And the good thing too is like my strategy allowed me to do that. Like, I could actually play with no sleep because of my strategy. My gear was good. I was playing Slayer, which is extremely good at doing that. Like, I don't have to pay too much attention to what I'm doing. So if I miss something, that's fine. You're playing Slayer, you tank, you have a lot of recovery, You'll be. I'll be fine, right? And I have to. And it turned out that it was the right call, because this entire run I did not have a single close call. Not a single time was I in danger of dying. Not once. I did not log a single time this entire run from level 1 to 100. Not a single time have I logged. Not a single time was I in danger of dying. Like nothing. It was the most smooth 1 to 100 ever, because I just took the extra time early game to be ready so I can be 100% safe and just blast it, and no problem. I did have a couple DCs though. Actually, the only times I was in danger is when my internet actually straight up dropped. 2 or 3 times I think I got DC'd. My internet dropped, and 2 other times the server just crashed. So these were the only things, the scary parts, yeah. But gameplay wise, not at all. Now I want to touch about that though. I want to talk about it a bit, like the no sleep part, because I've seen a lot of comments here and there about, what is he doing? He's killing himself, etc., etc. He's taking how many drugs is he taking? Like, I want to make one thing clear: what you watch happen was a stunt performed by a professional, and you should never do this at home. And as a professional, I know exactly what I'm doing. I've been gaming my entire life. My entire life has revolved around competition, in sports first, and then in video games. So I know the things that I need to do to make it safe and make it fine for me. Like, I feel completely fine. I haven't had any issues at all. Like, I've lived an extremely healthy life. Like, as opposed to a lot of people, I've lived an extremely healthy life. I did not drink, I did not do drugs, I did not smoke. I was physically very active in like multiple sports. I never sacrificed any sleep, which is something a lot of people do on the daily. Like in their daily lives, they just don't sleep enough. People just don't sleep enough. And that's something that I've never done. I've always slept a lot. If you believe it or not, I love sleeping. Sleeping is one of my favorite things to do. I love sleeping. When I sleep, I sleep. I'll sleep for 10 hours, I'll sleep for 15 hours. I love sleep. Yeah, like, it's just like sometimes, you gotta put the foot on the gas, and that's fine. I can't do that. But yeah, I'm basically stocked up on sleep. But yeah, like I've played video games highly competitively or professionally, like for longer than most people even have been exposed to them. And that's told me a lot about, like being able to condition myself to go through sessions like this and like stay focused and stay healthy and not do anything dangerous to me or my body. Like, I know how to minimize or nullify physical discomforts from playing longer sessions in ways that people have never even thought about. They don't even realize the importance of. Like, for example, how you sit, your desk height, chair height, monitor height, like everything, distance to the table, to like your arms angle, everything, like all these things that people don't even think about. Because they have never been in these situations where they have to, they have to actually figure out like what is the optimal way to play to stay healthy and to be efficient, etc., etc. Like, I've even seen, I think, comments of people saying that it was impossible to do what I did without drugs or similar nonsense. And I'll tell you a secret. You want us to know the secret? Here, I'll tell you a secret. My secret was, I drink water, I drink orange juice, and when I'm not taking a break eating a real meal, I'm just eating like a chocolate bar here and there. That's it. That's all I eat or drink when I'm doing these pushes. That is all. That is all. The only other thing that fuels me, that's actually pretty big, is just my passion, which is competition. Like, as long as I'm competing against someone, especially someone pushing as hard as who we did, it doesn't matter if I've been playing for like 1 hour, 5 hours, 10 hours, 15, 20, 50 hours, it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. My drive to accomplish the goals I have and win is greater than any of the physical limitations people think exist. So it doesn't matter at all. As long as I'm fighting someone, if there's someone on the ring, I will fight until he falls or I fall. That is it. It applies to anything that's like in sports, in academics, or anything. Like, humans are capable of way more than the average Joe who has never put his body and soul into anything could ever fathom. That's just a thing. That's just a fact. You can see it in everything. In any field, you have people who do things like this. It's just because we invest ourselves into this, like, completely. Like, people think, for example, I was in pain, I was dying. No, I was not in pain at all doing this push. I was getting sleepy at some points when no one was pressuring me, but that's all. And I was more boredom than anything else. Like, I was not in pain, I was having a blast. I had the plan, I thought of the plan for the race, I applied it, I practiced it, it worked. I had difficulties to overcome, I had opponents pushing me to my limits. And when they do push me to my limits, then I push my own limits. And that's how I ended up finishing like this. So, like, it's all about context, like how you see, how you perceive, you know, this thing you're like trying to you're doing at the time. Like I remember even saying like apparently people like would tune in like 40 hours in and be like how are you playing like this efficiently, like you're not making mistakes, you're still not misclicking, etc, etc. Again, adrenaline fuel and because it's a competition, that's all. And I think people need to stop like making these weird ignorant claims about how, oh, it's drugs, whatever. No, it's not drugs. They're just someone who invested himself into something, is passionate about something, and is competing. I think that's all I had to say about this. Yeah, I mean, that was really cool start. Like, I have to give another shout out to Huwu for a good race and pushing me this hard. Made me like, if it was not for Huwu, for example, I would not have been able to go all the way. So I'm glad he pushed me and we had a good race. And it was, you know, it's pretty cool. GG's. Next time he won't die, and we'll have. I'm gonna have to put in rare maps and actually send it. But yeah, if you have anything, if you have some questions, you wanna talk, some things you want me to touch on later, let me know, and yeah, fun race. To the next one. Peace. Take care, everyone. Bam! There is the win. The W. Yo, Mr. Faint, thank you so much for the, oh, Woundless, thank you for the sub gift, and Mr. Faint, thanks for the prime, man. There it is. I don't even wanna fucking finish this. Alright, there is W. Yo, RDA Evil and Xeno1. Yo, thanks for the sub, guys. And thanks Secundus. Thank you Secundus for the 69 bits. Alright. Now we do it again in HC Trade.